Episode 28.
Cheers.
Season 2.
28. Good job.
Yeah, we're getting
there.
Yeah.
You're going to be 30 soon.
Getting old.
What are you going to do for 30?
I don't know.
Figure it out.
Probably buy a Corvette.
We'll go do one on
30-year-old
a,
should do.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Could be
Corvette, Lambo.
Do you think that would be like a midlife crisis? No, it's
To get a Corvette?
That would be like a quarter life crisis, right?
Well,
At
30, yeah.
I don't really think, the whole midlife crisis thing to me is, obscure.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you're, old enough to a point where you can afford something, just buy it.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
You know what I
See,
mean?
I never understood that too. And it's like, he worked his whole life for that Mustang.
Yeah, if you get to a point where you can afford something and actually afford it, and if it makes you happy, just buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sleep in a car. You can't drive a house.
That's true.
Well, that,
Unless you live in
Look
a
at
mobile,
that.
unless you live in a mobile home.
yeah, you're right, actually.
I've lived in trailers before. I could just get up and drive away.
They could just, yeah.
I couldn't afford to do it, but
Now you got the Tacoma out back.
I know, dude.
Thing's sweet, man.
Thanks.
It's decked out.
It's a project car. It has its own website.
It does.
Are you serious?
But yeah, no, it does. And it sounds so stupid to be like, oh, my car is a website. But I worked with a bunch of brands when I bought it because I had this idea to I wanted to get this truck and I wanted to build it out. And when I knew I wanted to get a truck, so I was looking at Fords and Chevys. And when I was talking to my friends, they were like, oh, don't drive a Ford, they're dumb. And it's the same thing, oh, don't get a Chevy, they're dumb. But anybody I talked to, I was like, oh, I'm going to, maybe a Tacoma. Nobody was like, oh, that's stupid. Everybody was like, oh, those are good trucks. Those are good trucks.
Right.
And then doing a little bit of research, there's so many companies that make third-party accessories for the Tacomas. So I was like, okay, this is ideal. And I bought the truck during, right before everything went crazy. So, right before or during COVID, I got the truck. And then after that, everything was, skyrocketing in price. So, which is, pretty cool. It's a good investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're worth more now, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I got my truck. I went to test drove it, got it off the lot for $32,000. Now, if you were to go buy that truck right now, you're spending $50,000.
At least.
And
Yeah.
I could sell that right now for $60,000 if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I won't.
I was going to
It's a
say,
nice
with all the
investment.
work.
But I won't.
Yeah.
You going to hold on to it till it dies? You're gonna run it
My
till the
plan
brakes
is
off?
my plan is to drive it till it blows up.
Nice.
I like it.
Do you ever see that that video where what are those guys? Those English car and driver shows?
Top Gear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they took that Tacoma and dropped it into the ocean and drove it and they
I don't think I have.
You should look it up. They dropped.
Indestructible.
They dropped this truck from a helicopter into the ocean. It was flipped over, and it started up and they drove it away.
That's like Toyotas.
And it
I've
wasn't even
seen.
sponsored by Toyota. They just
Yeah.
it was just a thing. It was
Just
crazy.
happened.
I feel like that's such a Toyota thing too, because I don't know what car it was that Toyota made, but they have cars that have had over 2 million miles on them. I think it was an old Tacoma, to be honest with you.
I mean, the Tacomas and Corollas.
Corollas, yeah, they run forever.
I mean, all those engines just run forever. When I actually bought my truck, I was bullshitting with the guy that was selling it to me, and he told me a story that happened at their dealership where a guy had an old Tacoma, and it had 250,000 miles on it, and he brought it in because the frame was actually rusting out from underneath it, and he's like, I like this truck, I don't want a new truck. He's like, I want this truck. He's like, but I want you to fix this. So Toyota found out about the story, and what they did is they gave him a rental, and they took his truck and rebuilt it and put the frame on top of it. So he had a brand new truck, and he kept the old 90s body style
That's
and sent them packing.
sick.
That's
Because-
sweet.
Well, I mean, not only is it sweet, but now you have a Toyota fan for life. Mm-hmm. And his kids are going to tell that story. And now
Yeah.
they're never not going to buy a Toyota.
And a
truck.
bunch of
So
people
smart.
that saw the story, too, are going to be
Exactly.
like, that's why I bought a Toyota.
So
They stand
Toyota,
behind their
Toyota
products.
probably spent what, maybe $25,000.
Yeah.
And their marketing dollars went insanely
For
far
free.
for that store. Yeah,
Basically.
You put that on Instagram. Next thing you know, it's like, wow,
I know. Yeah, that's cool.
everybody's
Yeah.
trying to do that.
It is.
What'd you all put into your truck though? What have you done to it so far in terms of upgrades?
Oh my god. So
Long story.
so I have a lift kit. I have new tires, rims, dual exhaust, side skirt steps, I have heated leather seats.
Gotta have them.
New headlight, new taillights. I have a K&N air filter, roof rack, bed rack, bed liner, new stereo.
Got to.
Literally everything you
Got
could
to.
probably think of, like
It's
the
on
truck,
there.
The truck's got it, yeah.
So the website, is it to showcase like everything that you've done to the truck and like give credit to the people that helped with the parts?
So the reason why I made the website is because it was more of a marketing leverage to the brands to be like, hey, I want to do XYZ. If you would like to be a part of this journey with me, I'm going to document everything I do to the truck, and I'm going to put it on the website, link you in it. I have photos, like send you content, whatever. But I was like, if you would like to be on this list, like let me know. And the good thing about that, the reason why I said that there were multiple brands that made multiple parts for the truck is I could send that opening email to multiple brands. And if you send one email to 5 brands, one will bite. So that's kind of like how it worked. So like if they were to look at the email and like follow me on Instagram or like find the website, whatever, they could be like, oh, this looks cool. We're going to bite. We're going to do this. So it saved me like a lot of money
That's sick.
to do that
I like
because
it.
truck parts are expensive.
Absurd.
Like
Yeah.
my exhaust system was like $4,500.
Worth
Yeah.
it though.
I know.
That is cool.
That's cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
to put pictures together and like get it sponsored is like,
Yeah.
it's so smart. I feel like a kid that's like 15, 16 that like wants to get a new vehicle or like a used vehicle and wants to like upgrade it. I feel like
Yeah.
that should be a course of action. If
well,
you
like,
think about it, I wish I would have thought about that.
Well, like the thing was with me is like I feel like I have.
Well, you're a
like-
pro photographer too.
Not even
let me
that,
just
like,
say. Let me just say that. Like,
No,
let me just say that.
I wouldn't even
also.
say that, but I just feel like my brain does not shut off. Like I have like marketing shit in my blood. So like if I just don't stop figuring out how to make opportunities for myself. If that makes sense.
Right.
So like if I could figure out how to do something and include a brand or like figure something out, like how to like work together, like I'm constantly doing it. Like I feel like I get like 4 hours of sleep a night.
I feel like that's you just always have like something going.
I'm like,
You know?
I'm just
Wide
always
awake.
just always going.
Yeah.
I don't do
Hey.
cocaine, but that's what I feel like they do, right?
Yeah, probably.
I think
something
it
like
is,
that.
but hey,
You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just
So,
like don't stop.
take
Wheels
us through
turn.
like how'd you get into photography in the first place?
So it was back in like 2007. I moved to Pittsburgh from upstate New York to go to the Art Institute. And I went there for graphic design. So I have a bachelor's in graphic design, and my roommate at the time was taking photography classes. And he kept trying to push photography on me. He's like, "Oh, dude, you gotta take photos and all this other stuff." Like I was like, "I don't have a camera." I was like, "I don't really want to do it." Now I'm the type of person that same thing with TV shows. Like if you text me, you're like, "Oh, dude, you gotta watch Suits." I'm just because we talked about that earlier.
Where?
Like you gotta watch Suits. It's so good. You gotta watch it. You gotta do it. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to do something that you're telling me that I should be doing. So what happened was like when he was at work, he would leave his camera laying around. So I would pick it up, take photos with it, go do my own thing secretly.
yeah,
I didn't want him to know that he influenced me to take the photos. So one time I took his camera, like went downtown, I was like taking pictures, and it was very hard. It was a Canon T3 Rebel. Do you know that camera?
So I'm a novice to this game, but I know a Rebel. I feel like that's like my level of expertise
Yeah.
of cameras. So yes,
So I took this camera, I went downtown, took some photos. Bad. Terrible. And I got frustrated because there's so many dials and like manual focus and all this stuff. It didn't make any sense to me. So like I knew what I wanted the camera to do. I just didn't know how to like do it. So it frustrated me. But once I actually got some good photos, I brought it back, and through the editing process, which I find the most fun. So through editing made me more interested in photography because I like to edit more than I like to take the photos, if that makes sense. So like when I was like getting bigger doing street photography, I would look at a scene or scenario and I would look at the photo of what it could be versus what it actually is. because I know I could be like, oh, I could take that photo home and I could like edit to make it look cooler. And that's fun for me, like sit down and like edit the pictures. So that's realistically what got me into photography. I probably would be that.
Nice. Then you got into the whole street photography thing with
Yeah.
like your kind of niche style.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill the TV in the background. I just noticed that on. I was picking up some.
Good
sound.
call.
Oh, I forgot about it.
Oh well. It's what is this, MLB?
On right now. I just heard it in the back. I was like, probably just get it real quick. Is that power? I think so.
It's off. It works.
Cool. Take it.
That was a good call.
I was gonna say about your street photography. That's what we were. That's where it ended off on. Like being a Instagram stalker. Before meeting you, Ian, I had
Yeah.
a chance to look at your Instagram a little bit. Street photography is dope. So,
Thanks.
is it more so editing? Is it more so picture taking, or is it everything all together? You think?
Like with street photography specifically?
Yeah. Or your shots that you post on Instagram, like.
Like with the street stuff, I like to create dynamic scenarios. And if you look through the posts that I post like a while ago when I was like really heavy doing street stuff, there's a lot of stuff that like catches my eye. Like I really like when people are smoking cigarettes. If you look at that, like there's a lot of photos I post where people have cigarettes in their hands or their mouth because I see that. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take that home. I'm going to edit that. And I could like enhance the smoke like from the cigarette. Like, and I can like edit the burn on the smoke, or like if they're blowing smoke out of their mouth, I just create this like more of a in-depth scenario. So like there's like layers to it. So that's why I thought like street photography was like really cool, and it got me interested in it because of that, which like, I don't know, like makes
Yeah.
sense a little bit.
Your
Cigarette.
photos on your store or on your Instagram are just all very, I don't know what the word is, but like even
Random?
just not even random, but they all have like a very interesting moment going on in them. Like the tomato sauce that Ryan's pouring out where it's
Yeah.
like midair.
Yeah, that's sick.
You like freezing motion.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that got me into the trajectory of food photography is because I hate blurry photos, and I hate when like somebody posts a photo of motion that's blurry. It just
Feel
like
ya.
it
Probably
grinds, it
probably like our podcast.
grinds just hands everywhere. No, it just like grinds my gears. But like with food, it's fun because in my mind I want to take something that's kind of mundane and make it look appetizing as possible. And if I can create some type of motion with the food to make it more interesting, I'm like all for that. So like if I'm on a food shoot, I make a mess. But like the motion and like catching stuff that's like tack sharp, like gets my goat. Like that's my thing.
That was your thing. I've only worked with you on one project, but even like the food truck turning around the corner,
Yeah.
froze the motion, like pretty sweet picture.
Well, though
The sauce, the
yeah.
steam coming up,
Yeah.
like basically everything.
Oh, when
was
I
like
see that, when
the
I
eggs.
when I see that stuff, I'm just like, oh, like I just like go for it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I can't like miss that opportunity with stuff. And the photo of Ryan with the pasta truck coming around the corner, I like took like my street photography stuff and I was like, oh, I'm gonna shoot that truck like that in that style. So that's why it was like all like blurred out, but it was like I don't
Sick
know.
though.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was
like
awesome.
a roller.
I was gonna get back to the cigarette part.
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Like like I don't know. There's something very American. I feel like about someone just on the street, just smoking a cigarette. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like there's just a lot there that looks cool. Like I feel like we all know that like cigarettes are like, oh, it's bad. It's like a stigma. But now
Yeah.
it's like thing where it's like, oh, you see that? It's
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, if you go downtown Pittsburgh and like shoot stuff, I mean, there's so many different walks of life down there.
Oh my god, yeah.
So there's so many different types of people. So it's like very interesting. No matter what time of day you go down there, like there's always something to take photos of. But after a while, it got boring for me.
I was gonna ask, do you ever just run out of things down there? To
Like
just,
I honestly haven't shot like street photography in forever.
right.
This one's hard.
I love that one. I
Got on the
actually
motorcycle?
no, it's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, now the
I'm
cool-
browsing through.
The cool
Yeah.
thing about that photo is I like saw that coming And I took a picture of that, and I edited it to be blurry, enhanced the color. Also, I enhanced the headlights for that. I just made it look like it was like flying at like 100 miles an hour. But realistically, that was probably going like 2 miles an hour. Like if I showed you the before,
That looked like he was going 80 miles an hour.
if I showed you the before of that photo, it would look super boring.
Really?
Like for example, if you go onto my page, there is a photo of a Honda zipping through the rain, and I have a before and after, which you can look at the before of that.
That's the power of photo.
You know what I
editing.
mean? So
That's
like
nuts.
that's what I like to like. You take the image and you come home and you just make it like so much freaking better.
Do you think that like everybody can take a picture, but not everybody can edit it to look a certain way?
I mean, I don't know. I guess that just goes back to if people are skilled in the programs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to like say nobody can do it, because you probably can. I just like, if you're like educated in the programs and know how to use the programs to make something look like how you want it to look. So I feel like anybody could probably do it if they learned.
Yeah.
I don't think just like any Joe Schmo could just like, use an old like 80s Sony Cybershot and try to figure out to do that. So,
but you have your own style in editing, though.
Yeah.
You see, like, it looks like to me personally.
Yeah.
Some people
Whenever I
can
look at
definitely
it.
edit. Some people can't.
yeah.
Some people can take the photos. Others.
I've had
Can't.
multiple people tell me, and I've had multiple people tell me, be like, oh, I saw this photo and I knew it was yours before I knew it was yours. And I'm just like, well, I mean, that was just mine. Like, I don't really feel.
That's really cool, though.
Well, I don't take compliments well. I hate when people are like, oh, I just like, like when Ryan first reached out to me, he was like, hey, like, I want you to do this because like I like your stuff and I like your style. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just kind of like doing my own thing. So I don't know, like it's just like wild to think that like people outside looking in can like desire something that you're doing, but you are just like
Doing it.
It's just what I do.
Like I still feel like I'm still figuring stuff out. Like if I had to say, like, even when people are like, oh, what do you do? Like for me to say, oh, I'm a professional photographer, it makes me cringe.
Really?
I'm like, I take pictures sometimes.
I'm a creative.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just like don't like to say that. I don't know. It's just like weird.
It's like you're you just have that style that's locked in where it's like you're hiring the artist for the style. Almost like with like an artist, an actual like painter or something.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're kind of like bringing them on to like create a work for you. That's kind of what you're doing with photography versus just hiring a photographer to take pictures.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain. You just have to like see it in your head, but
No, I mean, I understand. Like there's,
you have like that very niche style that's like you're not going to just go in and take like random pics.
well, I mean, I've had like corporate jobs.
I mean, yeah, you
That
got
are
to do
like-
what you got to do, but
that are boring corporate jobs where
Yeah.
just like, and like their photos are just like white bread, completely boring pictures. But
yeah.
if you have like any type of creative freedom, which is where it's like it gets fun.
Yeah. When did it click for you that this was kind of like a full-time endeavor?
I think like back in the beginning when I first started getting into stuff, a lot of my very first paid photo job was a surprise engagement, and I was nervous as hell. I was like, this is the first time I'm getting this job. Like I'm actually getting paid for something. So it kind of like went from there, and then from that, like Instagram was like a very, it was integral. Integral, is that what you want to say? It's like it was a very pivotal point of marketing yourself. And that's when my Instagram changed from just posting like drunk photos of food, of like you out, to like I'm going to switch this into like a professional level. So I think the first paid job made me think like, oh, I can make money for this. Like I'm actually starting to kind of get good doing this. And then it went from there slowly into the story where I said my roommate got me into photography. And then from there, it put me into doing street photography. And then getting good at street photography, and that whole process went into the Tamron sponsorship. So from there into the Tamron sponsorship really accelerated that aspect of creating my own business, I guess, if you want to say. And then I kind of figured out like, oh, you're kind of like getting good at this. You could charge money for this. And then it went from there. And then from there, working with Tamron made me change my way of thinking to market myself better, to work with other brands. I was like, if I can work with this brand, why can't I work with this brand? Like, why can't I work with this brand? So then I get like other brands under my belt, and then it just kind of like went from there.
Shout out to Stoney's, right?
Yeah.
One of the brands under the belt.
Yeah. One of the brands.
There we go.
Yeah.
That is really cool. So like the Tamron sponsorship. So like take us through that. Like how did that present itself? Was it like Tamron reaching out?
No, it
Did
was
you
me.
reach out?
It was me
Okay.
being annoying as shit.
Right. You have to be though.
So-
right?
What happened is I started doing the street photography stuff. I started gaining a big following from the street photography. I feel like that's when my Instagram account became popular, I guess, quote unquote popular, because of street photography. I was tagging Tamron in all my posts, using their hashtags, and it got to a point where people were DMing me, being like, hey, what lens did you use for this? Like, what lens did you use for that shot? Like, what lens did you use for this? So I would take those DMs and I would respond back to them. I would be like, oh, I used this Tamron lens XYZ because the very first lens I ever bought was a Tamron 28 to 75. So I told everybody, I was like, this is the lens I'm using. This is the lens I'm using. And it got to the point where I felt like I'm marketing for them right now.
You're selling the product.
So I took all those DMs and I screenshotted them and I made a folder of every time anybody DM'd me, asked me what lens I was using. So I compiled this folder of all these DMs that I had, showing I was advocating for the brand. And then I reached out to them on Instagram. They ignored me. They had like 500,000 followers. Like they weren't seeing my DMs.
Big time brand.
So then I dug deeper, went to their website, went to their contact, went to their about. I even went to LinkedIn. I found employees that worked for them. And I sent them all emails with all this stuff. And then a week later after doing that, I had a representative reach back out to me and was like, hey, thank you for XYZ. Like, we saw your Instagram account. Like, the photos are cool. Just so happens we're looking for somebody else to be an ambassador for our brand. Now, at the time, Tamron was just pushing, like, nature photography, like bird watchers, very old. Like very old type of photography.
Old demographic.
Yeah, so they were looking for somebody who was edgy, a little bit edgy. You know what I mean? Like a risky person. So they put me on, and they put me under a 6-month probation program.
6-month probation program?
Because they wanted to see how I would do. They wanted to see how it would work out. So they sent me a bunch of lenses. They're like, hey, do this, do your thing, just be yourself, and then we'll go from there. And then from there, it just worked out. And then now it's been like 5 years.
Damn.
So I was like the edgy person they brought on.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he swears and takes
He swears.
takes like street photography. And
Yeah.
He drops the F-bomb on some of his comments he posts.
Yeah, it was just cool. So like that's how that worked out. And then from there, I've just made like cool like brand relationships through them, and it just worked out, and it's like still going strong.
That's sweet. This is being shot on a Tamron right now.
That's true. Which one is that?
It's like the 17 to 28 or something.
It's a good one.
Is that right? 17 or 16?
17, 28.
Yeah, 17, 28. Just got it sometime over the summer, so I needed something wider that was light. Mm-hmm. It's been great so far.
Plug.
The logo's like.
Use it at the Steeler game all the time.
No, but that's where like that transpired.
That is dope.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Now, is it something that it's just your go-to now? It's something that you've always stick with? Have you ever gotten off the beaten path of Tamron?
I haven't gone off the beaten path just because like I don't have to.
Right.
And there's never been a time where I've been like shooting something with a lens and been like, ugh. Like I wish this would do this, or this pissed me off because it didn't do, like there's never been a time where I was just like, oh, I wish this was different, you know? And that goes back to like when photographers are, like, for example, like, you have like the 28-75, and Tamron does like weird focal lengths, and they start at like 2.8. But if you buy like a Sony lens, which is like a 70 to 200 or whatever their comparable focal length is. A Sony lens is like $3,000.
Yeah, that's a big
No.
difference.
So if you're going to buy the Sony lens for like $3,000, but you have the same comparable kind of focal length with a Tamron lens and it's like $1,200. Why would you not? And there's never been a time, and you two can agree, I know I can agree, there's never been a time where anybody has posted something on Instagram where you're like, oh, that photo sucks. That was taken with a Sony. That's sharper. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even tell.
No, you can't.
It's just it's the same reason why somebody would buy a Rolex. Just to be like, I have this. I spent money on this. And I want you to know that I spent money on this.
Compliment this Rolex.
But at the end of the day, my Apple Watch is doing the same thing, if not more, than a Sony lens. It's just like a status symbol, I think. Now, unless you're like a photographer making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, the whatever, and you have like expendable cash and you want to like venture out, there's really no need, I don't think.
Yeah.
There's no need to drop that much money on the lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always seemed like a
They're
more
solid.
of a waste. Yeah. Like once you get to that point, like I mean, both you guys do great work with what you got. I feel like once
Plus,
you get
they
into
last so long too.
Yeah.
It's like you really have no reason to upgrade after. I mean, maybe sometime like 10 years later, but it's not
Also,
like you can't-
it's like Nissan with Infinity.
there you go. It's like
Volkswagen and Audi
oh,
Oh,
there
that's
you go.
true, yeah.
and
Alright.
Porsche and Lamborghini.
Ford and Volvo.
Ford and Volvo, yeah.
Bugatti?
Well, actually,
Alfa Romeo and somebody else?
I don't know. Volkswagen and Lamborghini have ties to each other. You remember when the Volkswagen Fahrenheit editions came out?
I remember hearing Volkswagen Fahrenheit, but
So
I can't picture what
the
it is.
Fahrenheit editions were licensed Lamborghini colors, and Lamborghini
Oh,
licensed
Yeah.
like 3 different colors that Volkswagens could use, and it was because they have like a partnership.
It's like Fahrenheit red or something.
yeah, it was like an
Something
orange
weird.
or something.
Yeah.
Is that a Golf out there?
GTI, yeah.
Buddy just
Bastard. I fucking love
upgraded.
those.
Just got it. I was
It's
looking at
fucking
Tacoma
sick.
though, actually.
No,
I was going back and
you're
forth.
better on
and
gas.
I was like,
Is it
I go-
standard?
No, it's auto.
Pussy.
It's got that DSG, that you know.
My in high school.
I don't know how to drive a manual.
In high school, I bought, it was a 1987 Jetta GLI. And I found it online, and this guy was a Volkswagen collector, and he had it in his garage. And it was a 1987, and it had 45,000 miles on it.
Damn.
I know. And there was nothing wrong with it. It had an oil leak in the front, and it was standard. I bought this thing for $1,800.
Oh my god.
I know.
Damn.
So I drove out there. It was like 2 hours away. Get in this car. Don't know how to drive standard. Taught myself kind of how to drive standard on the way back. And I took the car, dropped it off at a shop. I said, look through the whole thing, fix whatever's wrong with it, and like I'll take it back. And he was like, all right, cool. 3 days later, the guy called me. He's like, I'll give you $20,000 for this car.
Oh my god.
I was like, why? He's like, this is rare as shit. He's like, they don't have GLIs because it had the dual overhead cam 16 valve engine. It was like a V6 or 4-cylinder or whatever. And it was like pushing out maybe like 185 horsepower. I was like, oh, I have a cool car now. Like, I want to keep this.
Uh-huh.
So I had it for like 2 weeks. And I was driving down like a main street in my road. And some dude wasn't paying attention and he rear-ended me.
Oh no.
No way.
No, it worked out perfect. So that year of the Jetta, the computer system was in the trunk. Like the fuse box and computer, everything in there. And when that dude hit me, it pushed my like bumper up a little bit. Hit that like CPU or whatever you want to call it. Caused like $6,500 worth of damage. Now the car was old at the time, so parts were super expensive. So I got like an insurance claim for that, and I took it to a buddy, and he fixed it for a lot cheaper because he owned like a body shop or whatever. So with the extra money, I lowered it, put a turbo in it, got new rims, new tires. And this thing was like so sick. It was so sick, and I loved it. It like turned heads all the time. That like nothing beats that old boxy German style. You know,
I gotta search up a picture of it now because I'm super curious. But I do know the body style that
Yeah.
you are talking about.
Yeah,
Like back
it's
in the day.
very
It was so
boxy.
sick.
But it was awesome. And then I had it for a little bit, and then when I decided to move to Pittsburgh to go to college, I didn't have like a lot of money to like move out here. So my mom convinced me to sell the car and live off that money for a little bit, which I did, and I will never forget her for that. Never forgive her for that.
Like, Mom, I could have figured out something else. I'm gonna keep the car.
Because I sold the
dope.
I sold the
sweet.
car. I sold the car to this kid, and I remember standing out front, and he came and test drove it, and he got in it, and he paid me, and he drove off, and he was like, I was like, fuck, and he ended up wrapping it around a tree like 2 weeks
No.
later. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Damn.
How'd you see about it? Did you just like?
So a buddy of mine that lived in town was going. He went to a junkyard to get parts like for his car, and he saw my car there, and he knew it was mine because he knew what it looked like. And he's like, "Hey, dude, like, your car's here." I was like, "What?" So I drove home from Pittsburgh specifically to go to that junkyard, and I found my car in there, and it was just like upsetting because this kid took the car. He had a wing on the back. Like
Yeah.
he put the drill holes in the front with the pins, like the pin hood, and just like completely riced it out. Like completely took it from the German engineering and just like ruined it. I was like, this sucks, dude.
And he killed the car.
He killed the car. He let a piston fly up through the oil pan or the engine or whatever. So like he didn't even change the oil when he should have.
Damn.
So what I did is I took the rearview mirror and I ripped it out and I saved it, and it's in a box somewhere in my mom's attic.
Wow.
That's sweet.
Memories.
It's crazy how a car
Momentum.
like just like a vehicle or something like a vehicle you can
Yeah.
just find attachment to. Like I don't know. I feel like that's the way I am with my Pap's truck.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 250, and I'm like something that you'll never get rid of.
And I've-
I at least hope I never have to get rid of. You know.
And I've looked up that car again because like now like midlife crisis or whatever, like you're older, you have like more money now, like you can figure out like maybe I'll see if I can do this. And that same car now is like 20-30 grand. It's
Yeah.
just like out of reach anymore.
Everybody wants one.
I know. So now I'm just kind of like, man, that sucks.
It's like any car right now though. That used to be like a solid driver. Now is completely like unaffordable, and like you don't want to even drive it if you do
Yeah.
buy it.
I
you know?
remember back in the day, like in high school, I was buying cars for $1,000. Mm-hmm. And I would just beat the shit out of them. I'd buy a car for $1,000, have it for a year and a half, and then just completely beat the crap out of it because you're young, you don't care, and you
Yeah.
just buy another one. Now, like I've been trying to find like a second vehicle, and like for $5,000, you're getting like an okay car with like 180,000 miles. on
Probably
it.
like a
Yeah.
piece of shit.
You know what I
now,
mean?
like-
Like you're buying off
Yeah.
of just like some Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
And you have no
Dude,
idea.
they got used trucks with like 120,000 miles going for like 35
I saw
grand.
like
I'm
a,
like, holy
I saw a
shit.
1998 Tacoma on Facebook Marketplace the other day going for 22 grand. It had 150,000 miles on it.
Unbelievable.
It's
Good.
insane.
It's really good if you own a car and it's paid off and
Yeah.
everything. But if you have to get something new, you're kind of
I was just trying to do it just
Fuck.
like save on gas. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
save some mileage on my truck because I'm putting like $75 a week in that thing.
damn.
I know I get like 16 miles a gallon.
Hey,
Cool.
Gangster.
Cool lifted truck with big tires.
At least I look cool
it's kinda
driving.
worth
It's
it.
fun.
Yeah.
no.
So what got you started with Sony's then? Or Stoney's? Jesus, not Sony's.
So this was just like a company that I started working for. Like I said earlier, it was like a manifestation of like five brothers who owned like a bunch of different companies. And in 2017, they had an opportunity to buy this brewery. And Stoney's has been around since like 1907. And it was like really big out in like Smithton, like Charleroi, like Westmoreland County, like out that way. And they bought it back for a decent amount of money, but it was a good purchase at the time. And then, so like through them buying it, they pulled me from the company to focus on that. And then from there, we just been like remarketing and branding it and try to like bring it into a more younger crowd. You know what I mean? Like making the recipe better, like how it used to be in 1907. So right now, it's what we're drinking today is the 1907 recipe.
Really?
So it's just like water, hops, barley, yeast. That's it. So Stoney's is brewed. It's like beer talk, like very beer talk.
I'm here for it.
So Stoney's is brewed under the German purity law, which was set place back in like the 1800s, which was a law that said beer can only be brewed with X amount of ingredients, which is yeast, barley, hops, water. And that was it. So if you look at other beers now, like the other guys, they put like corn syrup, like rice syrup.
I was gonna say Coors is rice, correct? They brew
different
with rice.
different enzymes and stuff like that. It's like, for example, so if you take Michelob Ultra, they advertise, oh, you only have like 90 calories in their beer. So what they do during their brewing process, they will dump like enzymes in there. And the enzymes will go in and they'll eat up all the calories and carbs and shit like that, and it'll spit out like a different beer.
Yeah.
So by them doing that process, it negates them from calling themselves like a pure beer because they're not being brewed under that law anymore.
Pure, honest beer.
If you look at the ingredient list, there's probably like maybe like 6, 7, 8 ingredients. But if you bought the same potato chip maybe from like Trader Joe's, if you look at the ingredient list, it's like crazy big.
Isn't that crazy?
There's
though?
like red dye 4, like red dye 6, like all these like
'Cause
different
when
type
you
of
think
things.
about a potato chip, like literally all it should be,
It should be just a
potato
potato and
slice.
seasoning.
It's fried, and maybe they throw some salt on
Yeah.
it, and that's
Yeah.
it.
But
But you
there's
look
a-
at the list of like probably Lay's and stuff,
There's a ton of preservatives, like all this other
all
stuff.
sorts
Like
of
it's
extra
crazy.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for basically every product that we have at this point.
I know. Like
but
everything nowadays is just like
it's just
causes
so odd.
everything just causes cancer.
Cancer. Yeah. Like,
Literally,
it's crazy.
yeah.
Well,
Like every week, it's like this just in, like Tootsie Rolls is causing cancer now, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, what else isn't
iPhones
causing
cause
it?
cancer. 5G, like I mean, basically everything is dangerous at this point.
We're just
but-
gonna die anyway. Well, I mean,
That's a good
if you think about it, we were not bred to like eat all this stuff.
No,
fuck no. Yeah.
Like back in the day, we're like living in caves. We just
Yeah.
ate meat and vegetables.
we'd go and have to kill the animal. To eat.
exactly.
starve all day and then like
Yeah.
eat once, baby. If you're
But
lucky.
now you could just go to McDonald's,
Yeah,
and it's like how much stuff
we're
is
raising a generation.
how much
of
bad stuff is in
weaklings.
there. But you know what's delicious?
Huh?
Fast food, man.
a fucking
Yeah.
Big Mac is
It's
awesome.
so good.
Oh, it's so good. But it takes away that whole journey.
I know.
You got to go in the woods. You
I
got to
mean-
find stalk the animal, kill it.
If I had to
Then
go
you
out,
get that
if I had to go
dopamine
out and
hit.
kill my food to live, I'd be dead. I would have died a long time
Yeah.
ago because I'm a pussy.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Like I
this.
can't hunt. like being raised in like upstate New York. A lot of the men in my family like hunted, and like I would eat deer meat, like it's good, but like
Yeah.
I can't fucking kill a deer. I'd feel like ass.
Yeah,
Like skinning it and shit. No, thank you. Just give it to me prepackaged in a thing.
fair enough.
Here you go.
Yeah.
It's like the whole like food industry. Like
Yeah. Gets a little.
I
messy.
know where it comes from. I don't want to learn about it, but like I still
Yeah.
need to eat it.
100%. That's how
That's fair.
Julia, my girlfriend, she worked at Dunkin'. She was like, "Don't eat the food here," and I'm like, "I know what happens, but
Yeah.
I still think it's good at the end of the day."
I mean, donuts great.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
going to eat.
Bro,
She was
they
like,
used to have
"These are
those-
from the night before. Like we just stock them in the morning and then heat
Nah.
them up." And I'm like,
They
"All
used
right."
to have these good ham and cheese rolls there. I was like, these are fire.
It was just
They got-
microwaved.
Bro, literally,
100%.
literally, it's just a tortilla with some ham and a
Some like
slice of American cheese.
some 12-year-olds like
They sell it for $6.
here you go.
Pops
This
it out.
steaming hot
Honestly.
melting thing on your crotch.
Circling back to photography, what's like the coolest / craziest project story you have?
Well, I mean, like, there's probably like a lot of stuff, but I feel like the coolest, craziest thing is probably like the Mr. Beast thing we did together.
Yeah,
That
that was
was
pretty
unreal.
wild.
Just because like,
Has to be.
Probably is my
Well-
craziest project.
well,
so
just
far,
because
too.
like that stuff like that is like few far in between.
Mm-hmm.
Like you only fall into that out of like chance. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was very, a lot of stuff had to fall into place for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I still like will give props to Ryan for that because like if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have done that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
100% was Ryan.
100% was him. So like if he wasn't doing what he was doing, and if he didn't grow his following, and if we weren't friends with him,
If he didn't give us the chance in the
exactly,
first place,
there were
like-
just it's so much different. So many things had to happen for that to happen. But that's
and he was flexible too. Like I wasn't even. He's very flexible, like understanding. Like
Yeah.
I was all the way in Arkansas at a wedding. He could have easily just been like, "Oh, sorry, man, I got somebody
Yeah.
else." But like,
Well-
made it happen.
it was funny because like I got there, and he's like, "Hey, my video guy isn't gonna be here." He's like, "Can you do video too?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." I mean, it was like in the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just all
and
crazy.
you did video pretty well too.
Yeah. Well, that was thank you. I mean, that was probably the craziest, coolest thing I can put on my resume was like that because like Mr. Beast is the type of creator that's like insanely huge.
That's the goal. Like I was telling Josh, like
Yeah.
if you're a creator nowadays, like I feel like to get to that dude's level of
You
like
can't even.
you can't. Like I mean to just be around him though, dude, is like that's a
Like-
goal like people dream of.
Mr. Beast is like in that category of like he is going to be the only person to ever do what he's doing. Like
Yeah.
if there was another Mr. Beast coming up, they would be coming up right now, and we would know about them. But he's going to be that only person to do that. So like whenever he gets older, I mean he's like what 26, 28 or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever he gets older and finally quits,
Actually,
There's-
I think he's like 24. He's like the same age
know,
as
it's
me.
fucking crazy.
What was
Crazy.
he? Forbes' youngest billionaire or something like crazy like that?
I mean,
something
I
like
believe
that.
it probably.
Yeah.
Like we will only witness certain people in our timeline that will do a certain amount of things, and like I feel like he's one of them. Like you have like the Mr. Beasts, you have like the Drakes, you have
Yeah.
like the Eminems and Taylor Swifts. Like nobody is going to do that anymore. Like in like decades, it's crazy. So like I feel like that would be the craziest, most interesting job, just because to witness and be around that.
He might go down as probably the GOAT of YouTube when you think
I
about
think
it.
he's pretty much like locked in.
I think
solidified.
I
Like,
think
who-
it was like
who else is up there with
I think
him?
it was last week he got 200 million subs.
200 million subs, and when we were making that video, he had like 150 million.
Oh, he's
Like
screaming,
he grew
dude.
50 million in
He's
like 4
screaming.
months. Like that's unbelievable.
But like he's not even. It's not even like he's popular in the U.S. Like he's worldwide popular.
Yeah.
Like China. Like he takes his videos, his YouTube videos. He takes his YouTube videos and he pays for them to be translated in different languages, and
Yeah.
he posts them on YouTube in different country channels.
And they get millions of views on the other channels
It's
too.
insane.
It's unbelievable.
So like he has a separate China channel.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has
And
like
a
multiple
Spanish
YouTube
channel.
channels.
I mean, he has one for like all the major languages basically.
And I think it was like one of his last interviews or something I saw. Somebody, he didn't say who, but he said someone approached him with $1 billion deal to buy all his channels and brands, and he said no
Wow.
because he
He
said
could-
he's like, I'm not done yet. I'm
It's
still
worth
going.
more than that for
That's
sure.
what he said.
I was
I
gonna
mean-
say I feel like it has to be with his when you said like his videos are worth what 1.5 or like around there per
like,
video.
Yeah, like I mean, the average was like $1 to $9 million cost to make
Yeah.
a 15-minute long form video on
But
YouTube.
when you think of like basically he has long form videos that are like anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes long
Yeah.
that are getting like 30 to 100 million views
Mm-hmm.
each time. And like the amount of value behind that,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Like the Super Bowl, it's like a 4-hour event
Yeah.
and they charge what, like $8 million for 30-second ad?
Well, I think the average this year, I looked it up, it was like 7.5 or $8 million for a
30-second ad.
30-second.
And think about how many ads they run through the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And think about, all right, so now you have, and it gets like 120 million or something,
Yeah.
usually somewhere around that. Now you have somebody putting out a video that gets that every video, like every week, basically.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
I mean,
Unimaginable.
he's worth the money that people pay him. I think
Yeah.
I think he was like promoting some app. It was like some video game app or whatever, and he posted about it, and it got like 14 million downloads that week, just because he was promoting it.
It's crazy.
Like his fans were just like sheeple.
Yeah. It's
They're
crazy.
just like, you tell me to do something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like
What
the
was-
little kids, especially,
Oh,
bro.
well,
Like
that's
the
the
little
thing.
kids would be like,
Well,
"I do for Mr.
Well,
Beast."
the funniest thing is like when I had the opportunity to do that job, and I was excited. I was telling everybody. Nobody knew who he was, but you know who he
Older
knew?
people,
You
yeah.
know, you know who
Kids.
he knew? My fucking 10-year-old nephew.
Yep.
He's like, oh, Mr. Bass.
Yeah. That's been
I'm
my
like, cool.
experience too. Anytime, like, I worked at a country club basically up until the September. Once those kids found out,
Yeah.
that was like everybody that was interested was like 10-year-old kids running
Yeah.
around like,
Leave you
do you know
alone.
Mr. Beast? Can you text Mr. Beast? I'm like, no, I don't know him like that.
Yeah,
But
like I don't know him like that either, but like my mom's like, that's cool. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
it's pretty unimaginable.
Check out his
Like, it's
YouTube,
crazy.
Mom. I literally think I showed my mom his YouTube after you did that video. I'm like, Mom, you need to watch this video. And she's like, oh, this is cool. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty
yeah,
wild.
look at his video. Like,
Yeah.
this is insane, Mom. And she's like, oh, I guess all right.
What
Yeah.
was
Dude, come on.
What was the funniest or like craziest moment from that trip for you?
Oh,
Sounds like you're in a
If you had to
cave.
pick one.
The funniest, craziest moment? Oh, man. I don't know. There's just like so much stuff. Like
There was so much that happened.
I've-
We could go for hours.
I think not Mr. Beast related, but I think the funniest thing was being in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yes.
doing that video.
That town.
No,
is-
because that town sucked.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. There was nothing to do, and you could literally throw a rock from like one side to the other. And the funny thing is our hotel was on a corner, and that corner street was called Hooker Street,
That's awesome.
and across the street was a Hooters.
That is incredible.
That's not even made up.
That's
it was,
perfect placement.
It was super funny, and like even every place we went to was just odd.
It was very odd.
Like-
It was like a simulation.
Even
dude.
the Walmart,
Yes.
even the Walmart was terrible.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good-
we went to a Chili's. Okay, we're like done. Everybody's like tired. We're like, we're done. We're like, all right, let's go out and get something to eat. The only thing's open is a fucking Chili's. Okay.
yeah. It's like 10
That's
o'clock
where you
at night.
that's where you base off what this town's like. There's no like
Chili's.
family owned nothing. It's just like Chili's. So we go to this Chili's. Our server seemed to be clearly drunk. She was probably like 22, whatever. She just like
If that.
She,
Probably
like-
like 19.
She's
like,
having fun.
She like fluidly came over. Like she wasn't like moving weird. It was like fluid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she like took our order or whatever and like whatever. It was like fine. And then after that, we were like, well, what else do? You know, like we're not like we don't want to go to bed yet or nothing. So we go out to these bars.
This was different occasions, but like 3 nights later after the Chili's run, we go out to these bars.
We go out to these college bars, and it's like crazy.
There's a big college
Seriously?
there, Eastern Carolina University. It's
oh,
like pretty,
you're by ECU. Okay.
So we go there,
but it's summer. Nobody's around really.
and our server was there fucking wasted.
The server that was there hammered.
and
at
I was
this
like,
bar.
hey, what are you doing? And she's like, I don't know you. I was
And
like,
then-
okay, bye. Like I was just
Was
trying
it
to like.
you that ran into somebody you knew, or was it Ryan that ran into somebody and was like, I forget what happened.
Well, I didn't run into anybody I knew.
Must have been somebody Ryan ran
But
into.
what
that
happened was like when we were at the doorman was checking our IDs. The doorman saw Ryan's ID and like tweeted or something, was like, hey, they're here. And like this
Really?
influx of like people came in.
Yeah.
And
Holy
Ryan's like,
shit.
we got to get out of here. Like it was like crazy.
Time
I was
to leave.
Wow.
he's like, these are the moments where I feel like uncomfortable because
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's like, it's not a lie to say that he's like famous on some type of level.
Yeah.
You know, but like famous in a certain like niche of fame.
There are a lot of people that have seen his videos
Yeah.
but don't necessarily know
Don't
who he is.
exactly know who he is. Like when we were at the airport, I was sitting here and he was sitting here and you were over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw a girl be like slyly take a photo of him. I was like, hey, like I'll
Yeah.
take a photo of you guys, whatever. And it's like weird because like people hear him talk and they'll be like, wait a minute.
Are you the
Yeah,
egg guy?
the pasta guy?
You make all them balls? You make all the pasta balls?
To like break it down in like the most like I don't know, like there was just so many moments that like
I think my
stuck out.
favorite one was the whole trip was just it almost seemed fake sometimes. But
Oh, it did.
we get out of Greenville, we get to
Oh, shit.
Raleigh.
Wait. Oh, I got
So like we were both up there for homecoming, so we were like, we might as well get a podcast
Episode
in.
in,
Yeah,
yeah.
while we were up there. So like that's where we started doing this, and then we went to some spot that we
I
knew
do
up
I
there.
do think it's cool where you just do them in random shits.
I like that.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
like
we like.
random places.
I think
Yeah.
the funniest part.
That's
though,
why I
is-
wanted to clean my entire house because I didn't want you to be like, oh, it's cool, do it outside.
I was gonna say we should do it outside,
could.
but I like it.
No, I mean
like
this
it.
is this is fine.
It's vibe.
But I just like didn't know.
Oh, yeah, well,
it's
we
vibe.
can always do an episode too.
Whatever.
Sometime.
We've been doing them outside though. Outside's cool.
Yeah,
Especially in the
run
summer.
a huge
Yeah.
ass extension cord.
We're
Just
running
chill.
out of time. Like this week, like tomorrow, it's gonna be like
Just
70
like-
or something.
Just get
You gotta-
electrocuted with a big fucking block.
Well, no, we thought about going to Moraine and just not using this whole setup, just using like wireless lab mics,
Yeah, I have a bunch
sitting
of
on
those.
like one of those fucking rocks, and then
I have
just
like,
like
a bunch of those road things. on
especially
everything.
with the roads, well, like the roads, the DJI mics and
Yeah.
stuff. Something different, but
Did you happen to look when you checked out of your hotel?
Oh, did you look under your bed for bed bugs?
oh no,
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm
but
just
like
fucking with
when you checked out and they were like, "Would you like to see like the receipt of like whatever?" Did you ask to see
No.
it? I did.
you did?
I was interested.
How much did you spend?
Bro, my tab was like $850.
Dude, I mean, we frequented that bar every
Well-
night. I
well,
had that chicken.
I would have loved to have seen like the overall like Mr. Beast doesn't stay down there.
Well,
And
they-
the
well,
green-
so when we went to the hotel,
Okay.
when we went in there, so Greenville is very small. Mr.
Right.
Beast brings a lot of money to that town.
Gotcha.
And he's the type of person that doesn't really travel or go anywhere. He just brings people in. So everybody around there kind of knows who he is. He uses the same car rental place, the same hotel, the same whatever. So when we came in, Ryan was like, "Oh, I'm here like with like Mr. Beast, whatever," and they're like, "Oh, okay." Like we're in there. Like one night for
rolling.
dinner, he comes down and he gets this. He's like, "I'll have the quail." First of all,
You got quail?
No, it was like some like.
Are you
It wasn't a full size chicken. It was like a baby.
it's a quail, dude.
Was it a quail? No,
yeah.
it was like a hen.
Dude, it was
Poached quail
whatever.
eggs.
Okay, if it was
Small
quail,
chicken.
if it was quail or hen, only an asshole would order those things. And It comes out on this circle plate, okay? A bed of lettuce, and it's just a thigh, okay? Like
it was
this
the
big.
whole body.
It was like this big. It was like $32. And he's like, "Oh, still hungry." But like eating at a hotel was just like crazy. And like the first night I woke up for breakfast and I went down to get breakfast, and I've stayed in many hotels. Mm-hmm. In a hotel like that, you get continental breakfast.
Yep.
Like they come out with the buffet or whatever. I go down there. I get like grab my Red Bull. I get like my juice. I load up on like bacon and sausage, all this stuff. I'm like, oh, it's free. Like, I'm just fucking loading up. I'm sitting outside, and this girl comes out. She's like, oh, how's everything? I was like, I'm fine, chilling, eating breakfast. She's like, all right, cool. I'll take this whenever. And I was like, what?
Holy
Fucking
shit.
like $20. I was like, charge the room.
Charge to the room.
So like after that, it was just like a funny thing. Like all of us were just like, charge the room, charge the room.
See, I'm used to like just the continental breakfast too. Like
Yeah,
I
I
would
was
assume
on
the
for-
exact same
It
thing.
looked like a continental
How big that
breakfast.
Yeah.
hotel was, I was actually surprised that you had to pay for the
Bet it
breakfast.
wasn't, yeah.
But because it was like I had like a whole convention center and stuff attached to it. Like it was like a business hotel.
They probably changed their ways since like Mr. Beast started to like influx people in there, and they're like,
Could
we need
be.
to start charging for the breakfast now.
I'm sure they figured something out. But how about the guy?
Which guy?
So like in the mornings we would walk down and like we would get ready to go to work, quote unquote work or whatever, and there would be a guy at the concierge at
Oh,
the
yeah.
desk, and there was like an inlet, kind of like a kitchen here, and there was like coolers full of drinks, like snacks and stuff like that, and you could grab whatever you want, and then you tell that guy, you would have to put your name down in the room, and they would check, and they're like, all right, we'll charge the room. But there was a guy there just didn't give a fuck.
He didn't give a fuck. He'd be like, "I got you."
So like I would walk down, I'm like 7:05. He's like, cool.
No, that's literally there was.
He's
one
like,
guy,
continue
So
to
I was
do what
like,
he was
I was
doing.
like,
You had to
I was
write
like,
it
monster,
down.
monster, muffin, monster.
Bro, how about anytime in the evenings, the hotel bar would close at like 11 probably or something. Just probably reasonable for a hotel bar.
Yeah.
But we weren't ready to go to bed.
Nah.
So we sat in the lobby, like the group of us. There was
Yeah.
probably like first night that I was there at least, like probably like 8 of us, 7, 6, something like that. And the hotel, we figured out that little same cooler space, they had like cans of beer
Yeah.
and bottles of beer and stuff.
Say
so
goodnight.
the bar closed and we're just like,
Dude.
we're going to keep going.
Dude, one night I went down there.
It was like 2:30 in the morning. We were still down there.
One night I was wasted. Okay.
And like strippers would come past, like hookers
Oh,
would
those-
come
yeah,
past.
those-
on Hooker Street.
You could
Yeah.
just tell.
You could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell. But like one night I was like hammered. I wasn't ready to go to bed. I went
just-
down there and I was like clanking beers in my thing. I'm like 7:05. And he's like, okay, cool. And I would just like waddle up to my room, stock my whole fridge like I was in Cancun. Just wake up, it's just full of beer.
That was probably one of the favorite, like my favorite parts of the trip was like the debriefs every night. We
Yeah, that was
sit
fun.
there
I
and
feel like that's where most of like the fun and like friendships and stuff were made. Was like
just talk about the crazy shit that happened that day.
Debrief with beer.
Just
There's nothing
like-
wrong with that.
chilling out. Finally, like you're not stressed at all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just like chill and drink and like have fun. There was a pool there, and I was the
didn't
only
even-
one
I
that
didn't
swam.
even use it. Yeah.
I was the only one that swam. I remember we woke up at like it was like 8 in the morning, and Ryan's like, "You ready?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I already swam." He's like, "What?" I was like, "I already did some fucking laps down there." It
Bowl
was fun.
workouts are tough. That's a different
Well-
type of workout.
It was hot as shit down there too.
Well, there was a pool there, and I just wanted to swim in the pool just to say that I swam in the pool.
just
yeah.
to do it.
Basically, yeah. And like the funny story is like the first night I went down there, and I got in the pool, and I got out of the pool, and there was no towels anywhere.
Oh,
Do you remember this?
I don't know if I remember
So there was no
this.
towels anywhere, so I was like soaking wet. Okay, so I put my shirt back on, put my hat back on, put my shoes on,
all while you're soaking wet.
and I walked back to my room. And you know how like there's little holes in your shoes?
Oh, yeah.
I was like all the way to my room, and like water was like spouting out the little holes. And I went there again and still forgot a towel, so I repeated that twice. But I did swim in the pool because it was like pretty fun.
Yeah, I wish I would have. It's always nice to get a little pool swimming.
That's a little kid moment right there.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, yeah.
Never
All right,
Sure, yeah.
wrap us up though. You got to talk about the hotel story because that's kind of the
The airplane story?
Yeah, the airplane story. What did I say? Hotel?
Yeah, you said hotel.
No, let's talk about the airport story.
Okay, so when my tickets were purchased, my airplane tickets, Ryan's tickets, and your tickets were purchased around the same time. And I got the bad news. After the tickets were purchased, Ryan had said, me and you are flying to Greenville together. He's like, but bad news is we're flying back separately. He goes, me and Josh are flying together. Your plane is like 4 hours later. So I was like, fuck, that sucks. Like, I don't want to be in an airplane by myself. I was like, I want to hang out with my bros somewhere, you know? So we fly down there. Everything happens, whatever. We get to the airport to depart. I get stuck through security. They look through all my lenses. I had to like empty out everything, so that was a hassle. And then we're going through security. We sit down at a bar, and everything is like expensive as shit at
Oh,
an
the
airport.
Oh, yeah.
And time doesn't exist in an airport. It could be 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. You could have a beer.
Yep.
You could have a beer.
It's okay in the airport
Get
to
a
have a
steak,
beer.
whatever. You could do whatever you want. So, and I need you to chime in if I'm missing something because there's too many fucking things that happened in the airport.
Oh, boy.
That is unbelievable. So, we get to the airport. Was it Greenville?
Raleigh.
Raleigh.
We drove back to Raleigh.
That's right.
So it was like an hour drive back to the
So
airport.
we're at Raleigh.
Yep.
We didn't fly out anywhere yet, right?
Nope.
Okay. We're all hungry. So we walk around. There's no restaurants open. There's only one restaurant open. It was like a Charlie's Burger place.
Yeah,
or
like some
whatever.
burger place.
And there was like a 7-hour wait.
Patricia was with us too.
Yeah, shout out to
Happy
Patricia.
egg. She had a different flight. She was going back out west. She got on her flight. Well, we
Smooth
ate.
and
Yeah,
easy.
cool.
Yeah.
So there was like an insane wait at this restaurant. So we all sit down. I remember I was here, Patricia was here, Ryan was here, and you were over here. And Ryan got up to go order food for everybody because he's like, it would be quicker if I just order food for everybody to come back. So we sat there and waited. He brought the food back. And during that, there was a weird thing that happened. There was a guy at the table over here that had spilled a soda or something. And
I forgot about
this other person stood up. He's like, what the fuck, move! And then a worker came over and he's like, you guys calm down. So there was like almost like a tiny little argument. So that was like
There wasn't almost. There was a full blown argument
They
there.
wanted to fight in the airport.
Yeah.
There was like almost he like stormed off this guy.
And I was like, we're in an airport, you know what I mean? Like, go get some Swarovski diamonds or something to chill yourself down. Like, we're just chilling there. So that was the thing that happened. Like, that was one funny thing. So we finish eating. We leave this restaurant. We go up, and we hit those the escalators. I love those where you walk, where you seem like you're walking
Oh
fast.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
the
you
ones
hit-
that are flat on the ground.
You hit those and you walk like normal, but like you're like screaming, and for some reason people don't use them.
Yeah. You're like, I'm fucking Usain Bolt right now.
So we hit the end of those, and we all like kind of say our goodbyes. Like Patricia leaves, she gets on her plane, and then me, Josh, and Ryan go to our terminal. We chill there for a little bit.
We were riding the same flight to DC.
Yes.
It's the second flight is
okay.
where
That's
connecting
that's a
flight.
detail
Yes.
that I needed. So all three of us were on the same flight to DC. So we go to our terminal, but we also sat at another bar because that's when Ryan started editing photos.
Well,
And
no,
we were
back
sitting-
up before the bar. We get notified that there's a delay.
Yes,
I think.
because my flight was naturally delayed like 4 hours. And I was jacked about it because I was like, oh, I want to hang out with you guys longer.
Yeah.
I want your shits to get delayed.
Yeah.
So
our
when they're
shit-
Secretly
so when
Well,
their
wait,
shits
no. The first flight, the flight we were going to take to DC gets delayed. That's the first step
okay.
to happen, right?
So when their flight did
So
get
we're
delayed,
like an hour and
Ryan
40
looked at me.
minutes.
He's like, "What the fuck did you do?" And I was like,
'Cause-
"Oh, that sucks." But I was like, secretly like, "Yes."
Ours was like,
Yeah, joke's
so
on you.
we fly together. Our flight's delayed. We have like an hour and 40-minute delay now. Ryan and I, our flight's like pretty quick turnover. We're like, oh, we might miss the flight, the second
Yeah.
flight.
Connecting flight.
Flight. And you had like the 4 hours to spare that you're going to have to sit there anyway.
Yeah.
So you're like, yes, like they're
Yeah.
going to be stuck with me. Then we get confirmed by the gate agent that the plane that we're flying on to DC is our plane that's taking us to Pittsburgh. So we're like, oh, we're good then. There
Yeah.
won't be a delay. Somewhere in there, you get delayed. Your second flight gets delayed.
You're missing a lot.
Yeah, you need to tell the rest of the story. But
So we're all sitting at the terminal to fly out from DC to Pittsburgh. For some reason, I was on another flight. We don't know why. Mr. Beast's problem, probably, whatever. So all three of us are sitting at this terminal, and you guys, him and Ryan, are looking at their phones like, all right, we're shit's about to board, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, well, my shit's not going out for like 4 more hours. So I took my bag, all sad ass, walked to my terminal, and now I'm at my terminal, which was like down this long ass hallway to the right and like 5 terminals over. So I was at least like a 10-minute walk away. So I'm texting them, whatever. They're like, oh, we're about to board our plane, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, see you later. And then I'm looking at my thing, and my plane was going to depart like an hour or so after yours.
We forgot a part though. The fact that we were delayed for like 10 hours before that.
Oh, yeah. Everything just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed.
Because remember, we landed in D.C.
Oh, we actually stopped. We did the
We all got off the plane.
And we complained.
Ours was about to board like right again after that to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
As we're standing there, it gets delayed for like 4 hours. So then we're like, oh, like we'll be leaving at the same time with you. So we go sit at the bar, the first bar.
Okay, yes.
In D.C.
This is why I need you here to like fill
kill
this
like
up.
2 or 3 hours. It's about time for Brian and I's flight to go now, 4 hours later.
And that's when we
gets delayed
sat.
again,
Okay.
and yours gets delayed again.
Yeah.
So we're both now delayed 4 more hours.
Yes.
So it's like midnight now looking. Jeez. And so then we go to P.F. Chang's.
Yes.
Oh,
Dude, we go to
PF fucking Chang's.
We go to P.F. Chang's, and they're like about to close. They're like, get your order in quick,
Yeah.
like we're about to close.
It's like 10 o'clock at night.
So
or
I think
something.
I had 2 beers and dinner. It was $75. No joke.
It was expensive.
No joke.
Mine was
Airport
like 50.
food is no joke.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. So like
Beer was not an option at that point. Like we were getting alcoholic beverages with every meal.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm getting fucked. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, how dramatic did that sound?
Wait, I forgot
bit.
another important part. We almost drove back from DC.
That's right.
We were gonna get a
But you
rental
couldn't
car.
find a
I
rental.
probably would
We
have.
go and call the place. Oh, sorry, we don't have any rental cars. We're like, fuck. So we were literally
Damn.
trapped at this place.
It would have been
Damn.
quicker to drive
And
back.
if our
100%. It's a 3 hour
fly, yeah.
about a
if
3
our
hour drive
flights
back to
weren't going to
Pittsburgh.
go out, which after the second 4
Yeah.
hour delay, it seemed like maybe they weren't going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have been stuck there basically. And so anyway, continue.
Okay,
now.
so again, bop in if I forget something because it's very easy to forget
Yeah.
the story. So we leave P.F. Chang's. We go back to our respectable terminals. I am mentally prepared to know that my flight is now delayed. So I have a different terminal, but I'm still hanging out with those two because like we're all friends. We're just like chilling. So we're sitting there chilling. Flights continue to get delayed, and it came to the point where they are about to board their airplane. So you guys get on your plane or start to board,
we were on it.
and then I sadly walk to my
Terminal.
and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my screen where it like tells you when the plane's going to board, and they're like loading onto their plane. And I'm just sitting there, and my clock goes. It goes to 7 a.m., dude.
Holy
My
shit.
flight
next day.
my flight got delayed the next day. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to fucking sleep in this motherfucking
By
airplane
yourself.
by
As we
myself.
wave
Could you
goodbye.
imagine?
Oh my God.
And in my head, I'm like, their plane is going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like,
Holy
why
shit.
am I getting all fuck the dick on this thing? Like, why can't I go? So I text Ryan a picture of my screen, and I was like, dude, I just got delayed till 7 in the morning. And he doesn't respond back. He doesn't do anything. So apparently the story is they're on the airplane. Josh and Ryan on the airplane. Doors closed. Shit's ready.
Empty seats.
Empty seats.
Everywhere.
No, they're
Couple
done.
empty.
They're
Not a
about-
lot,
they're-
but like 4 or 5 empty seats.
They're
and
done.
They closed the
Wow.
door.
The door's shut. They're done filling people in. They're like docking. They're going.
Yeah, we're just
Okay?
sitting
Yeah.
there though.
They're just sitting there. So the story is, Ryan stands up, goes to the pilot,
Yeah.
knocks on the door,
Damn.
and he's like, "Hey, my photographer is on another terminal over there. He's scheduled to go to Pittsburgh with us, and his plane just got delayed to 7 in the morning. We got to get him on this plane."
There's empty seats. Can we get him on
gotta
the
get him
plane?
on this plane.
Captain says, sure.
And apparently, the pilot was just like, "Fuck it."
Yeah. Opens
That
the door.
is sick.
Ryan texts me. Now, like I said, he didn't say anything back. So I was just sitting there chilling. He texted me. He said, "Get here now." So I grabbed my shit. All these people, there's 100 people in my terminal, pissed, okay? I just grabbed my shit, put my hat on. I was like, poof. I left.
Deuces.
And I'm running, okay?
It was a long run too.
Yeah, it wasn't quick. I mean, it was a long run. And like all you heard was just like skirts on my wheels from the little thing. And I get to the door and there's nobody there. Like the lights are off.
Oh, shit.
Nobody's there.
Plane's still there.
The pilot comes out. He's like, "You Ian?" He's like, "Your friend on here?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Get on the fucking plane." So I get on the plane, pull my shit in. I'm walking down the aisle, and I'm like freaking out because like I feel as if like now I'm holding everybody up. You know what I mean? But it wasn't really the case. But I felt like I was.
Yeah, F that though, man. You got to do what you got to do.
I
in that
remember.
moment.
I remember somebody on the plane goes, "Oh, we're just letting everybody on now." Do you remember that? Okay.
I remember because you were like in the zone trying to board. I'm the
like,
very
shut
very
up.
last row of this plane.
Yeah.
There's nobody next to me.
Just one
Ian's
asshole.
looking around for a seat. He looks at me and doesn't even like
Just
notice
one
the seat.
fucking ass dick was like, "Oh, you just letting everybody on?" Like as if I was holding up the plane.
There was definitely a bunch of drunk people on that plane too because everybody.
Do you
was
blame
waiting.
them? Yeah.
Everybody
Waiting
was
all day.
pissed.
So I get my shit. I like to travel light, so I just had one bag. So I'm like, look, I'm like fucking trying to do this thing as fast as possible, and I can't find anything on the overhead. And this girl, the stewardess, is that what they're called?
Flight attendant.
Flight attendant. She goes, "There's a seat back there by your friend." So I was like, "Oh, cool." So I go back there, empty seat. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I sit down. It's like 3 seats, nobody's in it. So I put my bag up on the thing, and I sit down, and I'm like, finally. I'm finally gonna get out of here. I'm gonna fly to Pittsburgh finally. So we're sitting there, and the lights go off. This plane backs up, gets on the runway, and the lights turn back on. It's like, boom. It's like, yeah, where's our? It was like some bullshit like that.
He's like, our weight and balance is that we gotta wait for the company to fix the weight
Yeah,
and balance.
it was some weird fucking thing.
It's like 11:55 at this point.
But it definitely sounded like.
Yeah.
So the plane, for some reason, I felt as if it just did a 360 in the terminal. Like nobody.
We did some crazy shit.
Really?
Well, you're in a plane, you can't really see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just
But
feel.
it felt as if this plane just did a complete 360. So I'm texting you. I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" I'm texting Ryan. He's like, "Fuck this! Like, I don't know. I'm the fucking tired of this bullshit." So we do this like 360. It felt like, and it felt as if the plane was going to dock again, and everybody was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" You know, I had enough.
Hold on, I gotta interject. So we're sitting there after that 360.
Okay.
That's when the captain comes on. He's like, "Sorry guys, we didn't get the info in time. Airport closes at 12. The airport's closed. They won't let us take off." And we're all like, "What the fuck?" Like everybody's pissed.
And this
Everybody
is- this-
probably
a
wants to
plane-
kill you,
we literally
bro.
watched
But
the
this is
plane.
also like 14-hour thing.
Yeah, big day. And we literally just watched the plane take off like
Yeah.
30 seconds before
Oh my
that.
God.
And they're like, yeah, airport's closed, can't take off. And we sit there for probably like 5-10 minutes
Yeah.
in the dark, just sitting there all pissed.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he ever came back on.
No, he did.
He
did.
might have came back
no,
on.
he did.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah. So the plane does the weird thing or whatever. And then we're like docked. We all think we got to get back off this plane. So we're like, what the hell? And then the plane just starts turning the other way. Okay. So to try to make this visually appealing for you and how this scenario is incredible, picture a runway. Okay.
Gotcha.
Like this.
Okay.
Let's say the plane starts here and it has all this runway to take off. When that plane was here and it did that 360, it was pointing the opposite direction.
Ooh.
Okay. So the runway was very short. So when we were sitting there and the pilot was like, "We can't do this," the plane turned around. Lights were on. It was maybe like 15, 20 minutes. Everybody was like kind of pissed off. Lights go off and the pilot goes, "Buckle up. We're doing it anyway." Okay.
Whoa.
This plane went from like sitting to like Mach 10. And we were just like, like up in the air.
Straight up in the sky.
And like I thought I was
Holy
done
fuck.
for. So I don't know whatever happened
we
to that
were all
pilot.
like, what the fuck?
That's
is going
insane. Yeah.
So-
like I would have been genuinely concerned for my life. He
So-
was just like, "We're doing this."
I don't know what happened to that pilot. I don't know if he got in trouble. He got fired.
Hey,
I would love.
On? He
I
got
would
us
love
home.
to have his
we
interview.
were home in like 25 minutes after that.
That flight was supposed to be an hour long. He got us there in like 35 minutes.
Yeah. We were off the ground at like 12:05.
We went off-
and we landed in Pittsburgh at like 12:30.
We went the opposite way off the runway because that plane was like up quickly.
Yeah.
And as soon as you got up, it went like banked quick as shit.
Uh-huh.
So we did that, but then we get off the airplane and we're like loading to get everything off, and I'm looking down at my feet because I was like making sure I had my bag, and there was a wad of 20s by my feet.
Fuck yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like looking in front of me. There's no one in front of me. There's no one behind me. It was $300 just at a wad of 20s. I was like, this
Yeah.
is cool.
Right.
So I put it in my pocket, get my shit. We walk out, and I try to be like a good Samaritan. You know what I mean? Like once the plane was unloaded, people were running out. I was trying to look for people that were like, you know, patting their pockets or like,
Yeah.
oh shit. But people were just so pissed off, they just booked. They just like ran.
Yeah.
So I was like, well.
There we go.
So not only was that trip insane, The airplane story was also insane. But then I made like $300 off it, which was also insane. And to tie the trip to a whole, which is really like a big fuck you, is I went to that 7-Eleven that was in the airport.
In Pittsburgh?
To get a water.
Okay.
And right on the fucking counter is Mr. Beast chocolate.
Yep.
I was like, fuck this, man.
It was unbelievable.
It was just insane. And then even after that, me and Ryan had to go to his car. It started pouring down rain. And he just fucking swore the whole time. He's like, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this. He's like, this is such bullshit.
I forgot about that
And
part.
then-
I was waiting under the thing
man.
because my dad was going to pick me up.
Yeah.
And I see those two walking down the,
Just
like
wet
that
as fuck.
enclosed
Poured
part.
on.
Because like you're down here for like the pickup.
Yeah.
There's that big long walkway that you have to walk out.
Yeah.
I see those two and it's like, and I'm like, oh, they're going to be fucking pissed.
And the funniest thing is like, when me and Ryan left, when he dropped me off at my house, he's like, I'll take you home. Didn't realize how far. Like, well, actually, we passed here from the airport. So when he dropped me off the house, I was like, all right, cool, see ya. We didn't talk for like 4 days. It was like a bad date. You know what I mean? Like when you like leave a bad date and you
You're
don't
like, I need
talk.
some time.
So like after like the 5th day, he's like, hey, how are you? I was like, I'm fine. How are you?
The last thing you said to
Like
each
we
other
start
was, fuck you.
bitching. We start bitching about the thing. So
Yeah.
it was like a very funny, awesome thing. I don't know. Like I would never.
I'll
and
never forget it.
Well, I told him after that. I was like, I'll do that again.
Me too.
I would totally do that again.
100%. Looking back at it now.
It was quite a trip, and it was very stressful at times, but
But
I'll never forget it.
still
and
awesome.
It's a cool story to be able to tell people. And
My fucking knees are.
oh, I forgot about that.
There's just so much stuff that like happened that like
You'll only
people
understand like if
people
you're
are like
part of it.
I don't
but
get it, but
Yeah.
it's so funny.
yeah,
Gotta
it was
be
great.
there.
That was a great episode.
It really was. I'm
Fire.
glad I could be here for that story because that was entertaining. It really was.
Yeah, that was good. We'll have to
Fuck.
do this again
His neck
sometime.
is like
He's like, wait.
I'm like, I'm following the bouncing ball here. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is crazy.
it's like watching a hockey game as a cat. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sweet. Thanks for coming on
We appreciate
That's
it,
fine.
Ian.
I mean, you came to
Appreciate
my
it.
house.
and for the
Yeah.
beer
Yeah, I mean, you came here.
and for offering your home. You
Yeah.
didn't- I kind of just like, hey, we're doing a podcast at your house.
Well, I told you I was like, come
You
do
did
whatever.
mention it
Yeah.
before, so I was like,
I was like,
think
do
we're good.
whatever.
It's easy this way.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I do like the setup. I mean, it's pretty
not
easy.
bad.
Travel
Make
light.
it simple. Yeah.
Yeah, we do our best.
Mobile
So-
podcast.
All right, well, that's the end of episode 28.
Did we cheers on the way out?
Cheers.
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 Cheers. Cheers. I'm empty, but I think I got drunk.
Me too. We can fake.